It's Fire 716.
Let's go. It's Big Frank in the morning. Jay Sherry keeping it going. We got them hot topics, local news, and BGC flowing. We got Big Kev on the air. Dark Knight flying in here. It's Fire 716 and we rocking it. Hey.
You're locked into the vault on Fire 716 with Donta Myles. Let's go.
What's going on? What's going on? Listen, we're back here at the vault. Listen, I want to get right to the heart and the meat of things right now. First, before we get into our show, we want to make sure that we shout out Fire 716 for those of you who are watching on my social media page. Go to Fire 716 and download the app and make sure you watch the content. It's good stuff. Please, I promise you it is. So with that being said, I have a special guest here, and I want to make sure that we're there we go. Here's my birthday twin. What's going on, Fatima Matthews?
Hi, how are you?
Listen, we're good. Listen, I'm glad you're here. We were able to make it, so I'm going to readjust this and everything because I just got out of a meeting, so I was a little late. And here we go. So with that being said, I am so glad that you're here with us today. And there we go. There we go. So listen, Fatima, she has her own business, right? And her business is named Strong Heart to Soul. And I have her on here today because we definitely want to make sure that we're highlighting these beautiful things that we're creating for our community. And so, hey, I see everybody coming through. What's going on? Beautiful. So Fatima, thank you so much for coming through. I'm so glad to have you. Listen, we go back far. Kids, I'm talking about Unity Park, straight, Maple Avenue School, the Maple Avenue School. You know what I mean? We go back. Our families has been real close knit and tight for a long time, and I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you're operating out of a spirit of excellence. She's always been a solid individual. I mean, one thing that I love is consistency when it comes down to people. I love that. Like if I connect with people that they're the same, you know what I mean, and I don't sometimes you get around people, they can be a little fickle, and it's like you don't know how they gonna react or when you see them, whatever. Yeah. Listen, Fatima, she's a solid person. I advise everyone to follow her as well. You can follow her on Facebook as well, and I'll let her put her plugs in as well. But Fatima, you can tell everybody a little bit about your business and your story as well.
Well, thank you so much, Donta, for having me here today. I really appreciate it. Like you said, we go back
way back.
Fire 716 Radio has definitely been extremely a blessing to me in my business, and I definitely appreciate that. So Strong Heart to Soul is something that I recently started because of the fact that I am a congestive heart failure patient. Mm-hmm. And in our community, unfortunately, there's not many outlets and resources in the Niagara region, I should say. A lot of times we see a lot of things going on in Buffalo and Rochester and things of that nature, but you never see anyone coming to Niagara Falls. Right. We have a heart center right here in Niagara Falls. Right. And the only time you see them is when you have to go there. Right. And unfortunately, that's when you have to go there is usually something, that you're not happy about. So I wanted to make sure that we are educating the community and trying to advocate for prevention so that we don't have to go to that heart center.
Right. No, absolutely. It's always better to be proactive than reactive.
Absolutely.
So I'm definitely with that. Absolutely. And you have a story, and sometimes we do wait until something catastrophic happens, and it's always good to have someone that can actually tell their story and to be able to learn from someone else's experience rather than having to experience your own. So tell us about your story and how what happened with you and how things had came about.
Okay. So 14 years ago, I gave birth to a beautiful young lady named London.
Mhm.
And she tells me all the time I'm not a baby anymore. So she's a young lady now. But I developed postpartum cardiomyopathy, PPCM. It's a very rare disease that affects your heart, of course. And you can get it during your third trimester of pregnancy,
Mhm.
and it lasts up to, the window is open to up to a year after you give birth. So about 6 weeks after giving birth,
Mhm.
I was so tired. I couldn't get out the bed. It was my first day back to work after maternity leave, and I literally could not get out the bed.
Wow.
So I sat there for a while. I sat there at the end of the bed, like, come on, Fatima, you can do this. Because, I'm thinking it's all in my head. So many things at that moment was going through my head. But I forced myself to work. Walking through the parking lot going into the building, my hands started to sweat.
Wow.
And sweat just poured down my face. My heart was racing. And I thought, it's all in my head. This is all in your head, Fatima. You didn't want to leave your baby girl at home. You don't really necessarily want to go back to work. So it was a million and one things. I was like, I'm just going to get in here and I'm going to sit down for a little while and I'll be okay. Because I knew, number one, I'm a mother first, of course,
Right.
but I got to bring home that money, that bag, as everybody talk about. So I have to go to work. I have to do what I have to do, to take care of my children. So after being at work for about 15 minutes, my supervisor was like, no, there's something wrong. You need to go to the hospital. They wanted to, take me in an ambulance. I was like, no, I'll drive myself, because I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And if it was nothing going on, I didn't want people to say, oh, she crazy. Like,
Right.
because there's so much stigma on mental health, and there's so much stigma on, oh, she did this, she 30 years old and she having a baby. It's just, we talk, we talk.
Right.
So I didn't want none of that. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take myself to the hospital. And that's what I did.
Hey, bro. Excuse me, because guess what? I am still a father too. Right? Hey, be quiet until we're done, okay? No, that's it. Thank you. Enough. All right, so we're back. Okay, so you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, yep, after being at the hospital for about 8 hours, I didn't call any family, no friends. I stayed there alone because, again, I thought this was all in my head. I thought it was maybe postpartum. I thought, this is nothing. You just got to pull out, whatever is going on, you'll be fine. You'll go home today. It's nothing serious, just because you just never know. So the doctors, they did a lot of tests, a lot of blood work, and I was there for 8 hours by myself. The doctor came in and told me, you're in heart failure.
Wow.
And everything just seemed to crumble at that moment. I was in tears. I was so scared. That's all I could think about was, I have 2 children. How is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect my children? How is this going to affect my family? So I had to call my mom, call my spouse, let them know that, I'm in this hospital and I need y'all to get here right away.
Wow.
And that's exactly what they did.
Wow.
And then, at that point in time, the doctor came in and explained what PPCM is. And it's basically your heart getting bigger and harder. So it's harder for the blood to flow to your organs. And when your organs don't get enough blood, they shut down.
Wow.
And that was what was happening. And I had a lot of fluid around my heart, and they had to get that off.
Wow.
So basically, I was there in the hospital for about 3 days. After they got all the fluid and stuff off my body, I went home. My doctor diagnosed and said that I needed a defibrillator.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I got the defibrillator 6 months later. And the defibrillator is just a little device that they put under your skin and your chest. And it helps if you go into a rhythm of heartbeat that is abnormal, the defibrillator will shock you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is a great device because it will save your life.
All right.
It actually saved mine.
Wow.
So that's why I know that it is a great device. And a lot of people are scared when they go to the doctor and they're told this and they told that. I was scared too. I was paranoid. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to think because I didn't know. There are so many things that we just don't know that's out there. But sometimes you have to just listen and you have to sit still with it for a while and you have to pray on it because God is the only one that will necessarily have the answers for you.
Right.
So I always say, God and science saved my life, you know?
Right. That's one thing about it because true story is that, and I said this often. I'm like, you can't take God out of the equation when it comes down to what it is that so you can't take God out of the equation when it comes down to um, our bodies. Yes, and because we do. Physicians been around since the Bible days, right? But one thing about it is that so people been studying medicine for
Forever.
ever, right? And yet and
Absolutely.
still, regardless of how many doctors you got, you still don't have the answer to this complex body of ours.
Mhm.
How we see, how we hear, what our heart, our organs and different things like that. It's like no one has come up with a solution to everything.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you're yet studying medicine continuously, and we still don't know exactly how these eyes completely work. We have different, our hearts and stuff like that. So you definitely can't take God out of the equation. But wow. Okay, you go ahead. That was just something that I dropped in because honestly, some people we do feel like we have the answer. We self-diagnose ourselves and we
Absolutely.
think that
Or we don't diagnose
or
ourselves.
don't or
Or we
yeah,
forget about it.
everything's
Or
we're
especially for
fine.
women.
Yeah.
I notice all the women that I've always talked to, and I know that historically men have been the breadwinner in the home.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, that's not necessarily the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Women are making more money than men in a lot of situations,
Mm-hmm.
or they're their single family household, which
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of our community.
Right.
So we have to take care of everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
including our husbands sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we're not taking care of ourselves,
Right.
unfortunately. So my new motto, I guess you can say, is you cannot pour from an empty glass.
Right.
You have to fill yourself up first.
Right. Right.
So you have to make sure you're good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can give all your other blessings away because helping others is a blessing.
Absolutely.
So God has blessed you, you bless others with what he's giving you. And I feel like that's a part of my mission. Like God sustained me, he kept me. And the reason is for me to give it away to someone else, what I've learned, and hopefully save a life.
Pay it forward.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. And you're completely right. I like to make the analogy sometimes when you're in an airplane and they say in the event that this cabin may lose pressure, these masks are going to drop down. And it doesn't matter who you have next to you, whether it's your kids, your mom, or whoever, you have to administer to yours first because you can't be any help to anybody else if you pass out because you didn't take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I do believe in paying it forward. You guys, there is a call-in number, and that is 716. If we can get that up on the screen. I always like to, just so people can get a chance to call in. I try to be a little bit more interactive as well, because at first we were doing 30 minutes, but we're going to do 45 today just to allow people to be able to come through and speak or call in if you have a suggestion. Hey, so I'm going to shout out everyone who's on here right now. So hey, John, how's it going, sir? Alicia, Wendy, Franny. Hey, Fran, I probably see you sometime at Walmart because that's my second home.
And Alicia, Hassan, what's going on, Sir Beth, Rosanna, uh, Miss Jackson, hey Dad, Bataglia, Gradisha, Inko, how you doing? Hey, good to see you, Malcolm. Let's see here. It's not a handful of people. I want to make sure that I shout everybody out. Um, John Tay, how you doing, dear? Um, she said yes, but yes, but
That's my girl, Jonte. How you doing,
that's
hon?
a honey. How you doing, dear? Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Fatima, for recognizing God's call. Absolutely, Belinda, what's going on?
We got a chat. Um, so yeah, so we're here. So I definitely am looking forward to the greatness that is within you, especially through your strong heart to soul business and collaborating. Please, again, go to Fatima's page as well on Facebook. Do you have any other social media networking that you want to
So
share?
I do have a website. It is called Strong Heart to Soul. You can see most of the information now where I am speaking and things of that nature. You can go to Eventbrite at annual Strong Heart to Soul luncheon and purchase your ticket for this luncheon on February 18th. I do want to talk about that a little bit. But I have a few more things about the story that needs to be said. So
Yes.
after getting my defibrillator, and like I said, I was good for about 10 years. I was on about 20 different medications, going back and forth to Strong Memorial Heart in Rochester, New York. Great hospital, great people. I remember about 8 months after having the heart issue, I went there, and my doctor, Dr. Jeffrey Alexis, had me in his office, and he told me, "You need an LVAD." And I laughed at him.
Yeah.
And I said, "Absolutely not." He showed me, the LVAD on the wall, the picture of the LVAD. And I said, "Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old. I have a 8-month-old baby, and I'm cute.
Come on
I'm
now.
not doing that."
Come on now.
You can call it vain.
On,
You can call it whatever
it's
you want.
no, not
But
at all.
I did not want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was absolutely against it. And he said, okay. He listened to my concerns, and he understood where I was coming from. And he was like, "So what we're going to do is this. We're going to continue to keep you on all this medicine. And if your heart gets stronger, then we can talk about the next steps." Unfortunately, my heart never got stronger. And the thing about PPCM is a lot of people, their heart gets stronger. A lot of times people only have it for a certain amount of time. But in my case, that just wasn't the issue. I was overweight. I was eating McDonald's and French fries. I was doing what we do.
Right.
I was living life, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I was stressing. I was working a job. I had 2 kids. So I was not taking care of myself. After the 10 years go by, after getting the defibrillator, the defibrillator started beeping, which means it needs a battery. You need a battery renewal.
Oh, okay.
So the battery renewal is basically you go into the hospital, and it takes maybe 45 minutes to do it altogether. You go home that day. I went to South Mercy Hospital in Buffalo. They did everything they needed to do. We were getting to do it. They gave me fentanyl, 20 cc's of fentanyl.
Wow.
And I coded right there on at the operating table. And I died for 8 minutes.
Whoa.
What I take from that is that God was all in the mix.
Right.
He put the right people in that place. He made they knew what they were doing.
Right.
They knew the situation. God had made everything possible, because normally when you die and your brain doesn't get oxygen for more than 3 minutes, there's no coming back from that. And if you do, you're usually brain dead.
Brain dead.
Absolutely. Wow. But I was out for 8 minutes, and I do have some forgetfulness, I could say, short-term forgetfulness, but my brain is still here.
That's right.
I can talk, I can walk, I can praise God.
Right.
I can do just about everything that I used to do. So after they brought me back to life, I was on a machine, and I was in a medically induced coma for about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Wow.
I went back to Rochester with all these machines and stuff around me. So many machines. They wanted to take me in a helicopter, but they couldn't because I had to have so many machines to keep me alive.
Wow.
So they put me in the ambulance and they drove me to Rochester.
Wow.
There is where I got the LVAD. The LVAD is a machine that helps pump your heart. It helps your left ventricle. The LVAD is called the left assistance or left ventricle assistant device.
Mm-hmm.
It pumps your heart, your left artery, so that the blood can go through your heart and go to the other organs of your body.
Right.
That's what the LVAD is, and that's what it does for me today.
Okay.
If I did not get the LVAD, I would not be here to talk to you today.
Wow.
And that's crazy to believe it. And I remember when I was 30 years old and he told me, you need an LVAD. I said, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But thank God, like I said, God put the right people there.
Right.
In place to be able to save my life and get me exactly what I needed.
Wow.
And it was a struggle. I had to learn to walk, talk, all that all over again. Had tubes down my throat. They kept me alive on an ECMO machine. So it was definitely a struggle mentally and physically. But I was a fighter, and I fought through the situation.
That's right. Wow.
God is good.
Yeah, and he does all things well.
All things.
All things well. Man, listen. And we sometimes we think we have it bad, right? Just want to make sure that I'm catching everybody in here. Listen, that was I didn't even know know all the details myself. I know, hey, but God had other plans. That's facts. That's
Absolutely.
facts. One thing about it is, sometimes we have our own plans in life, and what they say, when we have our plans, then God laughs at us. Right?
Absolutely.
One thing is that having faith and knowing that you will pull through, because some people usually when they get that type of news, cancer type of news, a lot of the times it's how you handle and receive that news, which usually determines how you're going to, because a lot of people go directly downhill because the stress of it takes them out, you know what I mean? And then that stress begins to eat up on the inside because they feel like they're dying. But I gotta believe that you had that, like, oh, I'm getting up out of this. Like, oh no, you can say what you may, say what you will, diagnose what you will, but I got kids. Absolutely. I got this. I have to, and I think that's a testament to a lot of us, of how we handle a situation or a thing, or how we handle news, can be how we, what determine how we end up.
Exactly.
Like you're here today.
Absolutely.
I
think that growing up, I grew up in the church, New Hope Baptist Church. It's my family. That's my home.
Shout out to Reverend Kelly.
Love the Reverend Kelly, the people at New Hope. They prayed for me nonstop, and they are amazing people. But my grandmother is the one who brought me to church when I was a little kid, and I remember going to Sunday schools, and I remember singing in the choir. Usher, we was there all the time.
Right.
And I didn't get it then, maybe. I love the Lord. I always have. I got baptized at 7 years old. I always have been in the church somehow, some way.
Right.
But when you get older and you realize God has been there the whole time, and he has never left your side, that's a testimony right there. Like, you realize what you've been through and what you've done and what you put yourself through, that you didn't necessarily have to, you know?
Right.
So, so being with my grandmother, I think that's where the faith and, that started in my life.
Yeah.
She was the backbone of our family, and she definitely, got me into the church, and the faith just grew from there. So it was definitely I'm thankful, and I always say she passed on in '96, but I always say I hope she's proud of me, because
Right.
if it wasn't for her, I don't know, where I would be. And
Right.
her and God, she is the one that introduced me to God.
Right. And to the love. That's one of the things I thought. Well, it's another vibe here this morning. I ain't gonna and I love it. I'm gonna tell you, because the true story is this. And I said this before. Like, God loves us more than He wants to punish us. You know what I mean? And sometimes, sometimes we get that, like, the whole God is this big, entity that's in the sky with a staff waiting for you to do something wrong so He can smite you or something like that. When the true story is that, like, God loves you more than He wants to punish you for what you've done. He, like, if for a God that knows me and knew and walked from the end back to the beginning, knowing exactly what was going to happen with me, nothing I do surprises Him.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
And I've done some things.
And fact, that's how it is. It's
Yes.
But let's be completely honest. Like, I haven't been in the will of. Well, let me put it this way: God's will for my life will always be His will for my life. The true story is that, like, I've been in spaces that haven't, that I may not have been so proud to have been in. We all have.
We all have, and sometimes we still are.
And still do.
Right.
And guess what? And still, and at some
Absolutely.
point, probably
Absolutely.
most likely will at some point. But the true story is this: like, that someone cares more for you, than they want to harm or hurt or punish you. You look at that a lot different.
You do.
You know what I'm saying? You don't look at, like, oh, I'm sick, or I deserve it, Lord, because I've been this. No, man, like, no. You're talking about the God that wants better for you.
Right.
Like, He wants you to prosper as well as your soul prosper. So that means He wants you to prosper on every angle, not just financially, health-wise and everything.
Absolutely.
So I think these are, and again, that's why when that happened with you, and like I said, I know Fatima, she's been bubbly. She's always been, just good, solid people. In that type of situation, that's why I was like, yeah, I know she wasn't gonna just, like, lay down and die. She ain't playing around like that. And I think that's a testament to a lot of us. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So listen, and so you're here. That's the big part about it. We're glad that you. And the thing about it is that you're willing to educate and be able to be vulnerable enough to tell your story, so that other people can witness this testament to what it is that you've been through, and allow that to be a form of encouragement to other people. Like, again, sometimes you think you going through a whole lot. Right? You think your life is just, oh my God, I'm tired, I have to do this and I have to do that, and
I still be tired.
And right, and call a spade a spade.
Right.
However, when I'm sitting next to someone who actually coded, who actually was out of here for 8 minutes, and again, after a few minutes of someone losing oxygen to their brain and stuff like that, we would not be having this type of conversation today. Like, so I seen someone put on definitely a walking miracle, and it's definitely encouraging. And let's see here. I try to do pay attention, and my eyes ain't what they used to be when
I definitely can't see it.
How do you live without? Let me see. Okay, so Wendy, she had put, how do you live without fear of another heart failure?
I'm in heart failure every day. So now I've cut back from 20 medicines to about 12.
Okay.
And I'll show you my heart pump. We being transparent here today.
That's real transparent.
So this is a battery. I have 2 of these batteries at all times. And this is the monitor.
Wow. Okay.
So this is coming out of my stomach. It was on my heart to pump to pump the heart.
Wow.
And I have a hole coming out of my stomach. That's what the LVAD is. You can look it up. You can see it online. Just type in LVAD and you'll see it. So I have a bag that I keep at all times right around my shoulder. Can't go too far because that cord right there.
Right.
But that's what keeps me alive. And at night I plug up to the wall, just like you plug in your radio or your television. And that's how I have to sleep. And then I change my batteries maybe every 12 hours or so. But I am constantly in heart failure. My heart is not getting any better. The only way that something can change for me is if I get on the transplant list and get a new heart.
Wow.
And I like to say at this point, we as the African American community do not like doctors, hospitals, all of that. I get it. But we need you to, if you're not here physically and your elements are still good, your body, there are parts of your body that are still good, donate. That's all I can say. Donate those parts of your body. I know that there's a lot of rumors that they kill people to get those body parts, or they let you die on it. No, that's just rumors. That is not what's going on. Believe me, they'll have lawsuits out of the yin yang. That's not what's going on. Donate if you cannot. If your body, if you have list it on your license so that someone else can use those parts that you cannot. It's your eyes, things you just never know who you're touching. I was a organ donator even before all of this happened. But now I know how it saves lives. I have a group that I'm in called the LVAD Warriors, and some of the friends that I have in that group have all had heart transplants.
Wow.
And when I tell you these people could be 20 years old, 6 years old, 92 years old, like because someone donated their organs.
Wow.
It's very important. And I get it. I know all the rumors. I know I've heard it all, believe me. But it is very important that we do that. It's also very important just to go to the doctors.
Right.
Especially men. Like y'all don't like to go to the doctor.
It'd be the worst. I ain't gonna even.
Yeah. Like
no. When I say the worst, it'd be the worst in our mentals. To you know what I mean? Because I was one. You know what I mean?
Go to the doctor.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Good. I was pregnant. So of course I was going to my doctor regularly. And I told my doctor, there's something not right. I was swelling. I was tired all the time. My feet, my fingers, everything was swelling. And I had a woman doctor, and she put me on bed rest. And she said, "You're okay. You'll be fine." And at that point, I questioned myself for questioning her. Like, I know it's not okay. But because she went to school, she's the doctor. Who am I to question her? But the bottom line is I should have done a better job of advocating for myself.
Right.
I didn't know. I didn't know anything about PPCM or heart. So when I first told her that I was having all these issues, or when she seen all these issues was happening, the first thing they should have done was sent me to a cardiologist. But they didn't. There is a test. It's called a PNS test. The cardiologist, your doctor, it's a very expensive test, but it can be taken. And this would have shown them that there was a problem. But because unfortunately, African American people are not taken seriously at times.
Yeah.
We're always saying that, we're trying to get something, or we need drugs, or whatever the case may be. I wasn't taken serious, and that's how I feel. Now, do I blame that doctor? No, because she may not even know what PPCM was. Right. Not everybody know about it. Not every doctor knows about it. Not every hospital knows about it, because it's that rare.
Right.
So I don't blame her. I hold no ill will towards her. God was on a mission, and this is what it was.
Absolutely.
And because of what happened to me, I promised God that I would I would teach, educate, prevent, so that someone else don't have to go through what I went through.
Wow, that's amazing. Listen, we got about a good 10 minutes, right? Um, we had the call in number is 716-299-0013. Again, that's 716-299-0013. If you want to call in and talk to myself, Fatima, our Oz, our wizard, Big Frank. Um, we're here. Like, this is like, to me, this is a very very touching, informative, uh you know it's not a story, it's life. It's informative reality, let me put it that way. Wendy put, I thank God for you, Fatima.
Thank you.
And God's grace definitely is sufficient,
Absolutely.
Christina, I see you. um and I think we have to take better care of ourselves. I guess this is probably a time I can go right into the little quick plug, because it's the truth. Like she said, we need to make sure we start going to the doctors, make sure while we're alive we're taking care of ourselves while we're alive. And the quick plug that I'll put in before someone who's that I have been watching. Hey Elaine, how you doing? The quick plug that I'll put in also as well is we need to take care of our preparation for when it's time for us to go.
Absolutely.
As well. So I mentioned it, and I'll be mentioning it on each of the shows as well. Is that we need to make sure that we are covered with life insurance. I've played about, in the last 2.5 or so weeks, I've played nearly 8 funerals, and they haven't been all elderly people, because some people think, and a lot of times our people think that we're never gonna die.
Right.
Think we're invincible. We think that
Or just that we have time.
that we got a whole bunch of time. And the thing is that, like, I've opened up Facebook often and seen way too many GoFundMe accounts to bury our loved ones. GoFundMe accounts are not meant. Now, let me just put this way: for those who just have to, because it is what it is. Hey, no judgment. My thing is that while we're in a place where we can actually be a little more proactive, if you can get insurance, let's make sure you do that, because one is going to give you peace of mind, especially if you got kids. Especially if you are the breadwinner of your family. You definitely want to make sure that you get covered,
and get covered young.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, once you're at a certain age and once you already have an issue, there's no one that's going to cover you.
They're not going to cover you.
Unfortunately, I don't have life insurance because of the fact of my heart situation. Now, I had it at my job, but as soon as I was out for so long, as soon as they said, "Oh, you got a heart issue now," guess what? It was gone.
No.
So not only do you need life insurance at your job, you need an outside source for life insurance.
I so thank you for saying that, because a lot of times we think that because we have insurance at the job, and I've learned this over the past handful of months of being an agent. It's called group coverage, and that group coverage only covers you when you're an active employee at your job. And I keep telling people, because some people are like, "Oh, I got it at my job. I got it at my job." But you're going to work that job until you retire. And ask my mama. She worked at the housing authority about 20 years, retired. And guess what? She had to get her own coverage because it's not portable, nor is it permanent. So it's like, just make sure, honestly, just make sure that we cover ourselves. Let's make sure, because again, it's nothing worse than being a you trying to be a provider or whatever the case is, or you try to leave a legacy as a person, just trying to leave a legacy in your environment. And then the last memory that people have of you is that you left them a debt.
Yeah.
When you had the opportunity to, you know what I mean? If and I'm saying this now because everybody on here, you hear my voice now. God forbid something was to happen, because we all want us to live happy, a long, happy, healthy, prosperous life. But the true story is none of us knows our time when it's time for us to get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know what that day or hour is. So like you said, get it young. The younger and healthier you are, the cheaper the insurance will be.
Absolutely.
It's
cheaper than the cell phone payment.
Yes.
It's cheaper than Netflix.
Yes.
It's cheaper than all of that.
Yes.
So we always think it's another bill. But if you can pay for Prime, because I'm a Amazon woman, you can definitely get you some life insurance. And if not for yourself, definitely for your family, because they're going to be grieving. Yeah. They do not need to have to worry about how they're going to bury their loved one. That is facts. So this, Donta, like he said, he's a good, like he said about me, I'm a sound person. I'm a good person. He is a good person. I trust him. You should trust him too. Get that life insurance for you and your family. I appreciate that. I certainly appreciate. Listen, I mean, and this was something that we didn't, this conversation, it wasn't nothing, we ain't have it. We didn't have, it was just like this, but the fact is that you just showed, like, you gave the proof of, like, hey, what, especially with the jobs, because I get that a lot when I'm reaching out to people. I got it at my job. I'm good. I'm like, hey, you don't understand what group coverage is. You know what I mean? Some people don't understand with group coverage between term life and whole life, and just, the different benefits. However, if you have term only goes for a specific amount of time. You outlive that term, it expires, and then you got to try to recertify again at a new age. And usually you get older. If I got a 20-year term policy, I'm 44. When I turn 64, nothing, no cash value. I can't borrow anything from it. It's like I never had it. So these are and I'm going to start having probably, and that's why it's good to have these events too, just so it can be informative too. I'm going to begin to have some, life insurance events to really educate people on the difference between, because a lot of times we just don't know. And it's out of ignorance. And now I'm talking about the definition of the word of just not knowing. So again, go see your doctor. Absolutely. Go have your doctor's appointments and stuff, and make sure you're good while you're alive. And advocate for yourself. Please advocate. If something is not right or you feel a certain way, ask questions. Absolutely. Google is not necessarily a bad thing. You have a computer in your hand. Absolutely. And Jonte, you're right too. Also include them babies. Absolutely. Oh my God. What we call ours is the Head Start program. These babies that are under 18, that when you add them on, it's cheap. It's like $2. A handful of dollars. And it stays that way for the remainder of their lives. It's a whole life policy. And with ours, I know each baby is like $25,000 coverage for each of them, for a little of nothing. And that's something that you will be able to hand to them when they turn 18 and say, here you go. You want to maintain this for the rest of the time? Okay, here you go. So this is the stuff that's so super important. And but yeah, advocate for yourself. When something ain't right, get a second opinion. Find out, you know what I mean? Because who can advocate for you better than you? Absolutely. Thank you. Awesome. So listen here. Thank you so very much, Fatima. Thank you. It's always good seeing good friends. When I say we go so far back. Oh, yes, please. The event, yes. On the 18th of this month. Right at the Underground Railroad Heritage Center. It is a lunch and learn. It starts at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You'll see a few different doctors from the Western New York area who are going to come and discuss heart failure. And I'm also going to tell my story. There's going to be some vendors from our area as well. So definitely come out, and the cost is just $25. That's it. Listen. Thank you guys for coming through. We definitely appreciate y'all for coming through. Listen, we'll be here again next week here at the Vault at 11 a.m. on Thursday.
check us out every Thursday. Don't forget, go to Fire 716 Radio, download the app, and like
and share.
Please share. See y'all here right now. Share this because they're gonna get this message when they hear this video.
Absolutely.
And again, we thank Fatima Matthews and for her business, Strong Heart to Soul. That's something that keep your eyes open for it. And is it stronghearttosoul.com?
It's stronghearttosoul.com.
Absolutely, y'all go check it out, and we will see you next week, 11 a.m. Thursday.